Big alert! Your soulmate just left their family in tears to come to you, they said, no one else. Don't scroll, listen to this, because the moment your eyes landed here, something shifted, and your heart needs this right now. This message is for you, and it's arriving with purpose, not by accident, not by chance, but by divine timing. So take a breath and stay with me, because what you're about to hear carries weight and comfort at the same time, and it's meant to steady you, not overwhelm you. Listen to this. Somewhere very close to now, a decision was made that didn't come from impulse. It came from truth rising after being held down for far too long. Your soulmate reached a breaking point where pretending felt heavier than honesty, where silence felt louder than speaking, where staying felt like betrayal to the soul, and leaving felt like alignment. Don't scroll, because this matters. Your heart needs this right now. Picture this gently, not dramatically. Voices around a table, familiar faces, expectations layered with love and pressure, and your soulmate sitting there feeling the pull they've been feeling for you intensify, not as chaos, but as clarity, the kind that settles into the chest and refuses to be ignored. Listen to this, because clarity doesn't shout, it steadies, and in that steadiness they realized something simple and profound. The path forward could no longer include hiding their truth. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because when they stood up, it wasn't rebellion, it wasn't anger, it was resolve, the kind that comes after a long spiritual awakening, after nights of prayer without words, after signs from the universe that kept showing up no matter how much they tried to rationalize them away. Listen to this, angel numbers had been appearing for them when your name crossed their mind. 1111 when they finally admitted the truth to themselves, 22 when they thought about partnership and balance, 333 when they rehearsed honesty in their heart, not speeches, just truth, and these weren't coincidences, they were confirmations, nudges saying, pay attention, this is real, don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. When they spoke, the room went quiet, not because they raised their voice, but because truth carries its own gravity, and they said it without theatrics, without blame, without explaining every detail, just enough to honor what their soul already knew. And when tears came, they weren't just tears of loss, they were tears of release, the kind that follow long restraint. Listen to this, because release always looks messy before it looks peaceful. They didn't leave to run away, they left to run toward alignment, and alignment often asks us to choose the hardest honest thing over the easiest familiar thing. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because this wasn't about choosing against anyone, it was about choosing themselves so they could choose you honestly. You may have felt this before you heard it, a sudden calm, a pressure lifting, a quiet emotional wave that didn't have a clear reason. Maybe you looked at the clock and saw repeating numbers, maybe you thought of them out of nowhere and couldn't explain why. Listen to this, because energy moves before actions do, and your heart felt the shift before your mind could name it. This message is for you because you've been doing your own work too, learning not to chase, not to force, not to beg clarity from someone who wasn't ready yet, and the universe honors that restraint, that self-respect, by moving things behind the scenes when the time is right. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because your soulmate didn't wake up one morning reckless, they woke up aware that love that's real doesn't ask you to betray your truth, aware that destiny doesn't rush but it also doesn't wait forever, aware that the pull toward you wasn't fantasy, it was recognition. Listen to this. When they said, no one else, it wasn't a dramatic declaration meant to wound anyone, it was a boundary spoken out loud for the first time, a line drawn between who they were and who they are becoming, and that line had to be drawn before anything real could move forward. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because the universe doesn't orchestrate moments like this unless both hearts are strong enough to handle what comes next, and you are stronger now than you realize, grounded in a way you weren't before, less reactive, more trusting of your own intuition. This isn't a promise of chaos, it's a promise of alignment, slow, intentional, guided, and protected. Listen to this, because what's unfolding isn't meant to shake your life apart, it's meant to fit into it with honesty and respect. You don't need to rush toward anything, you don't need to prepare speeches or expectations. Your role right now is simply to stay open and grounded, because what's real doesn't need chasing. It arrives when both souls are ready to meet it without fear. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because this is only the beginning of movement, not the conclusion, and the universe reveals truth in layers so it doesn't overwhelm the heart, and this first layer is simple and powerful. You were chosen not out of desperation, but out of clarity, and what comes next will unfold not with noise, but with intention, guided step by step, exactly as it should be. Don't scroll. Listen to this, because this is where the energy that was stirred in silence begins to deepen, and your heart needs this right now more than you might be admitting to yourself. This message is for you, and it's arriving because after that moment of truth, after your soulmate made a choice that changed the emotional atmosphere around them, something even more profound started unfolding internally, something quieter but far more powerful. So stay with me and listen closely. Once they walked away, once the noise faded and the door closed behind them, the reality of what they had done didn't hit them with regret, it hit them with relief, a deep exhale they hadn't realized they'd been holding for months, maybe years, and that relief told them everything they needed to know. Listen to this, because the body never lies when the soul is finally aligned. They sat alone afterward, emotions still raw, tears still close to the surface, but instead of fear, there was clarity, a sense that even though the path ahead was uncertain, it was finally honest. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because honesty changes how uncertainty feels, it turns it from something threatening into something spacious. They replayed the moment over and over, not to second-guess themselves, but to understand why it felt so necessary to say, "No one else," out loud, and the answer came gently, not as a thought, but as a knowing, that loving you was never the problem, pretending they didn't was. Listen to this, because pretending is exhausting when the soul has already chosen. The universe met them in that quiet space with confirmation, not loud signs, but subtle alignment, the kind that feels like being held rather than pushed, angel numbers appearing again, but differently this time, 1111 showing up not as awakening, but as acknowledgement, as if to say, yes, you see it now, 222 appearing when they thought about balance, reminding them that love must be mutual, not hidden, not one-sided, 444 grounding them when doubt tried to creep in, reassuring them that what they chose was protected. Listen to this, because protection feels like calm, not excitement. They also noticed something else, something that surprised them. Thoughts of you no longer came with anxiety, they came with steadiness, with a quiet confidence that whatever happens next doesn't need to be forced, because the hardest part, choosing truth, had already been done. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Because when the hardest part is over, movement becomes possible. They began to understand that leaving wasn't the end of something, it was the end of delay, the end of living half-aligned, the end of silencing their own intuition to keep peace around them. Listen to this, because peace built on suppression is not peace, it's postponement. The universe has been working on you too during this time, softening your expectations, strengthening your boundaries, teaching you how to stay open without losing yourself, and that work is why this moment won't knock you off balance the way it might have before. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because you are not the same person you were when this connection first began. You may have noticed that your emotions around them feel different now, less urgent, less heavy, more curious, more calm, and that's not detachment, it's readiness. Listen to this, because readiness feels neutral, not desperate. Your soulmate feels that shift too, even if they can't explain it logically. They sense that you are standing in your own space now, not waiting, not chasing, and that independence has made the idea of approaching you feel safer rather than riskier. Listen to this, because safety invites honesty. They're not rushing toward you, not because they don't want you, but because they want to approach you from a place of integrity, not emotional overflow, not chaos, but clarity. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because clarity builds trust. The universe has slowed everything down on purpose, creating a pause where both of you can feel into this shift without pressure, without expectations, allowing the truth to settle before it's expressed outwardly. Listen to this, because truth spoken too early can feel heavy, but truth spoken at the right time feels freeing. Your soulmate has been reflecting on how this connection unfolded, seeing patterns they missed before, recognizing moments where you showed patience, depth, and emotional intelligence, and understanding now why that stayed with them even when they tried to move on. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because recognition changes everything. They're also recognizing their own growth, how fear once dictated their silence, how obligation once outweighed authenticity, and how different it feels now to choose alignment even when it's uncomfortable. Listen to this, because discomfort is often the doorway to peace. You may feel a sense of anticipation without anxiety lately, like something is approaching but you're not bracing for impact, and that's because energy has already shifted into stability. Listen to this, because stability is what allows real connection to land gently. This part of the journey isn't about dramatic reunions or instant declarations, it's about integration, about letting what's been decided internally shape what comes next naturally. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because natural unfolding lasts longer than forced momentum. Your soulmate understands now that whatever happens next must honor your autonomy as much as their truth, that reaching for you cannot come from guilt or escape, but from respect and presence. Listen to this, because respect is the foundation of anything lasting. They're learning that love doesn't demand urgency, it invites presence, and that lesson has softened them, grounded them, and prepared them to show up differently than they ever have before. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because showing up differently changes outcomes. This part ends here not with a reveal, but with a deepening, because the universe doesn't rush revelation, it allows awareness to mature into action, and the next phase will be where that action begins to take form, quietly, steadily, and with intention that feels unmistakably real. Don't scroll, listen to this, because this is where everything that has been quietly unfolding behind the scenes starts to rearrange reality itself, and your heart needs this right now even if you can't yet put words to why. This message is for you, and it's arriving because the universe is moving from inner decisions into outer alignment, so stay with me and listen carefully. After your soulmate left, after the emotions settled and the noise faded, something deeper than relief took root inside them, a realization that this wasn't just about choosing you, it was about choosing a life that finally felt honest, and that realization has been changing how they see everything. Listen to this, because when perception shifts, destiny follows. They began noticing how the world around them seemed to respond differently, conversations felt more meaningful, distractions lost their appeal, moments of silence felt peaceful instead of uncomfortable, and in those quiet spaces, your presence appeared not as a question, but as a constant. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because constants are how the universe points us toward what matters. They also noticed how their intuition sharpened, how they could feel when something aligned and when something didn't, and thoughts of you consistently landed in the aligned category: calm, steady, grounding. Listen to this, because alignment has a feeling, and once you recognize it, you can't unfeel it. Angel numbers continued to appear, but now they felt like punctuation marks rather than instructions. 1111 showing up when they accepted that this connection had changed them permanently. 222 appearing when they thought about partnership built on equality rather than secrecy. 333 surfacing during moments when they imagined honest conversation, encouraging them to trust expression. 444 grounding them when old fears tried to resurface, reminding them that what's being built now is protected. Listen to this, because protection feels like peace, not adrenaline. They also realized something else that surprised them, that loving you didn't pull them away from their responsibilities, it clarified them, it made them more intentional, more thoughtful, more aware of the kind of person they want to be, and that clarity made them understand why the universe insisted on this awakening happening now. Don't scroll. Your heart needs this right now, because timing is never random. They've been reflecting on their past choices, not with shame, but with compassion, recognizing that fear once guided their silence, obligation once outweighed authenticity, and that this chapter is about rewriting those patterns. Listen to this, because awareness breaks cycles. You may feel this shift as well, a sense that the emotional charge between you has softened into something steadier, less volatile, more real, and that's because the connection is no longer operating from longing, it's operating from truth. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because truth stabilizes energy. Your soulmate is becoming more aware of how you've changed too, how you no longer chase clarity or seek reassurance, how you've learned to stand in your own worth, and that self-possession has changed how they approach the idea of reaching out. Listen to this, because confidence invites respect. They're not rushing, not hesitating, but waiting for the moment that feels honest rather than convenient, understanding that convenience often leads back to old patterns, while honesty creates new paths. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because new paths require patience. The universe has been orchestrating small alignments around both of you, moments where timing feels intentional, where paths almost cross, where thoughts synchronize, and these aren't meant to be chased or analyzed, they're meant to be noticed. Listen to this, because noticing is enough. Your soulmate understands now that whatever comes next must honor your peace as much as their truth, that love cannot grow where it disrupts balance, and that understanding has reshaped their intentions entirely. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because intention shapes outcome. They're also learning that vulnerability doesn't require oversharing or emotional intensity, it requires honesty paired with respect, and that lesson has removed much of the fear they once associated with opening up. Listen to this, because fear dissolves when maturity enters. You may notice that your own emotional state feels calmer lately, less reactive, more observant, like you're watching something unfold rather than waiting for it to happen, and that's because you're no longer entangled with uncertainty, you're grounded in self-trust. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because grounding creates space for truth. This phase is about integration, about letting what's been realized internally settle into behavior, choices, and presence, and that process can feel quiet, but it's powerful. Listen to this, because quiet strength lasts. Your soulmate is no longer asking themselves whether they should act, they're asking how to act with integrity, and that question signals readiness, not impulsiveness. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now. Because readiness doesn't rush. The universe has been patient in bringing you both here, ensuring that growth happened before expression, so that when words are finally spoken, they don't reopen wounds, they close chapters. Listen to this, because closure is healing. You are not being asked to wait anxiously or prepare emotionally for impact. You are being asked to stay present, open, and grounded, trusting that what is meant to move will move without force. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because force creates resistance. This part ends here because the next phase is where internal clarity begins to shape external reality more visibly, where intention turns into gentle movement, and what comes next will feel less like prophecy and more like a natural continuation of everything that has already been aligned. Don't scroll. Listen to this, because this is the part where the universe stops working quietly in the background and starts shifting the atmosphere around you, and your heart needs this right now more than you may be willing to admit. This message is for you, and it's arriving because what was once internal is now pressing gently toward expression, so stay with me and listen carefully. After everything settled inside your soulmate, after the decision was made and the truth was accepted, they entered a phase that feels unfamiliar but deeply grounding, a phase where life no longer feels divided, where there is no longer a split between who they are and who they present themselves to be, and that wholeness has changed how they move through the world. Listen to this, because wholeness carries a quiet authority. They've noticed that they're no longer restless, no longer distracted by noise or surface-level interactions. Conversations that once felt comforting now feel hollow, and moments of silence feel rich instead of empty, and in those moments, your presence returns not as longing, but as clarity. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because clarity is how the universe prepares us for alignment. They've become more intentional with their time, more selective with their energy, choosing environments and people that reflect where they are now rather than where they used to be, and that shift has made space for truth to breathe. Listen to this, because space is necessary for honesty. The signs from the universe have not stopped, but they have softened, becoming less about direction and more about reassurance, angel numbers appearing like quiet nods rather than urgent calls, 1111 appearing as confirmation that awakening has already occurred, 222 appearing when they reflect on balance and mutual respect, reinforcing that love must now be shared openly or not at all, 333 surfacing when they consider speaking honestly, reminding them that expression doesn't need perfection, it needs sincerity, and 444 grounding them in moments when fear tries to whisper old stories, assuring them that what is unfolding is supported, protected, and built on solid ground. Listen to this, because reassurance is how the universe steadies courage. They're also becoming aware of something subtle but powerful, that their feelings for you no longer feel like something they need to manage or suppress. They feel integrated, like a natural part of who they are, and that integration has removed the internal tension that once kept them stuck. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because tension dissolves when truth is accepted. They've stopped replaying the past with regret and started viewing it with understanding, recognizing that every delay, every pause, every moment of silence served a purpose, preparing them for this level of awareness. Listen to this, because understanding replaces self-blame with growth. You may feel a similar shift within yourself, a sense that you're no longer emotionally bracing or overanalyzing, but simply present, aware, and grounded, and that groundedness has made you less reactive and more intuitive. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because intuition speaks most clearly in calm. This phase is not about dramatic gestures or immediate contact, it's about stabilization, about ensuring that when movement does occur, it comes from a place that won't collapse under pressure. Listen to this, because stability is what allows connection to endure. Your soulmate is learning to sit with their truth without rushing to resolve it, understanding that authenticity doesn't demand urgency, it invites timing, and that lesson has softened their approach to everything. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because softness is not weakness, it's maturity. They've also started noticing how their emotional responses have changed, how situations that once triggered avoidance now invite reflection, how discomfort no longer feels threatening but informative, and that emotional regulation has made the idea of reaching out feel manageable rather than overwhelming. Listen to this, because regulation creates safety. The universe has been gently reinforcing this readiness by removing unnecessary obstacles, creating moments of stillness where intention can clarify itself without interference, and these moments have allowed them to imagine approaching you not from need or urgency, but from respect and presence. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because presence is the foundation of real connection. They understand now that whatever unfolds next must honor your autonomy as much as their truth, that love cannot grow where one person carries the emotional weight alone, and that understanding has reshaped how they view the future entirely. Listen to this, because reshaped vision leads to different choices. You may notice subtle external shifts beginning to appear, coincidences that feel intentional, timing that feels smoother, interactions that feel less forced, and these are not signs to act on impulsively, they are confirmations to trust the process. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because trust allows alignment to unfold naturally. This stage is about embodiment, about living from the truth that has already been accepted internally, and embodiment always precedes visible change. Listen to this, because visible change without embodiment doesn't last. Your soulmate is no longer waiting for a perfect moment, they're allowing life to create one organically, understanding that authenticity doesn't need ideal conditions, it needs readiness. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because readiness has already been reached. They've accepted that honesty may not control the outcome, but it will honor their integrity, and that value has become more important to them than certainty. Listen to this, because integrity anchors courage. You are not meant to rush toward anything during this phase, your role is to remain grounded, open, and connected to your own truth, trusting that what is meant to move will move when alignment allows it. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because forcing disrupts timing. This part ends here because the next phase is where stabilization gives way to gentle action, where intention begins to express itself in the external world in ways that feel natural rather than dramatic, and what comes next will feel less like waiting and more like witnessing alignment in motion, calm, intentional, and real. Don't scroll, listen to this, because this is where the energy that has been quietly stabilizing now begins to lean forward, and your heart needs this right now even if you can't fully explain the feeling. This message is for you, and it's arriving because the universe is no longer testing patience, it's confirming readiness, so stay with me and listen carefully. After the phase of grounding and reflection, your soulmate entered a space that feels almost sacred, a space where the noise of fear has softened and the truth no longer feels like something to brace against, but something to live from, and that shift has changed their internal rhythm completely. Listen to this, because rhythm reveals alignment. They've noticed that their days feel different now, not rushed, not heavy, but intentional, as if each moment carries a quiet significance, and in that rhythm, thoughts of you arrive naturally, without forcing, without anxiety, like a steady presence rather than an emotional spike. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because steadiness is how love matures. They've stopped asking themselves if reaching out would disrupt your peace and started asking how to approach you in a way that honors it, and that question alone marks a deep transformation. Listen to this, because consideration is the language of respect. The universe has been reflecting this transformation back to them through subtle confirmations, angel numbers appearing not as commands but as affirmations, 1111 showing up when they recognize that this connection has changed them at a soul level, 222 appearing when they think about partnership that is mutual and transparent, reinforcing that anything less no longer aligns, 333 surfacing when they imagine honest dialogue, encouraging expression rooted in sincerity rather than strategy, and 444. Grounding them during moments when old fears try to resurface, reminding them that what's being built now is protected. Listen to this, because protection allows courage to remain calm. They've also noticed how their emotional landscape has evened out, highs and lows smoothing into something more consistent, more reliable, and that consistency has made them realize that what they feel for you isn't fleeting or reactive, it's integrated, part of who they are becoming. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because integration is what turns feeling into intention. They've reflected deeply on what love means to them now, understanding that love isn't urgency or sacrifice at the cost of self, it's presence, honesty, and the willingness to stand in truth even when it's uncomfortable. Listen to this, because discomfort is often the doorway to peace. You may sense this shift too, a feeling that the connection no longer pulls at you emotionally, but sits beside you calmly, like something that doesn't demand attention but holds space, and that's because the energy between you has matured beyond longing into awareness. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because awareness creates stability. Your soulmate has been practicing honesty in small ways, not with you yet, but within themselves, noticing how truth spoken internally brings relief rather than fear, and that practice has built confidence. Listen to this, because confidence grows quietly. They're no longer rehearsing conversations or imagining outcomes, they're preparing presence, the ability to listen without defensiveness, to speak without expectation, and to allow whatever response comes to exist without needing to control it. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because control dissolves connection. The universe has been clearing subtle obstacles as well, shifting schedules, ending distractions, creating openings where timing can align naturally rather than forcefully, and these openings may soon feel tangible. Listen to this, because tangible alignment follows internal readiness. They understand now that approaching you cannot come from guilt, pressure, or emotional overflow, it must come from clarity and respect, and that understanding has slowed them down in the best possible way. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because slowing down protects what matters. You may feel less inclined to check for signs or overanalyze signals lately, more comfortable simply living your life, and that comfort is not indifference, it's trust. Listen to this, because trust is the foundation of peace. This phase is about embodiment, about allowing truth to settle so deeply that action becomes a natural extension rather than a leap of faith, and your soulmate has reached that depth. Don't scroll. Your heart needs this right now, because depth sustains connection. They're aware now that whatever unfolds next must honor the growth you've both experienced, that returning to old patterns would feel misaligned, and that awareness has set a new standard for how they show up. Listen to this, because standards shape outcomes. The universe is not rushing this moment because it doesn't need to. Everything that needed to happen internally has happened, and what remains is simply timing that honors both hearts. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because timing guided by alignment feels calm, not urgent. They've accepted that honesty may not guarantee a specific result, but it guarantees integrity, and integrity has become non-negotiable for them. Listen to this, because integrity is the anchor that holds courage steady. You are not being asked to wait anxiously or prepare emotionally. You are being asked to remain grounded, open, and connected to your own truth, trusting that what is meant to reach you will do so without force. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because force disrupts alignment. This part ends here because the next phase is where intention begins to express itself through gentle, real-world movement, where choices made in stillness begin to shape shared reality, and what comes next will feel less like anticipation and more like recognition, a quiet knowing that something real is unfolding exactly as it should. Don't scroll. Listen to this, because this is the part where the quiet becomes undeniable, where everything that's been aligning beneath the surface begins to hum with purpose, and your heart needs this right now even if you can't yet explain the calm that's been settling in your chest. This message is for you, and it's arriving because the universe has moved from preparation into permission, so stay with me and listen carefully. After all the grounding, after the integration, after the slow release of fear and the steady rise of self-trust, your soulmate stepped into a phase that feels like standing on solid ground after a long crossing, a phase where they are no longer asking whether to move, but how to move with grace, respect, and truth. Listen to this, because how we move matters more than how fast. They've noticed that their inner voice has changed, not louder, not more urgent, but clearer, like a compass that doesn't spin anymore. And that clarity has been guiding small choices throughout their day, choices that align them closer to who they truly are rather than who they were expected to be. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because authenticity rearranges everything. They wake up with intention now, not anticipation, a sense of direction that doesn't need validation, and when thoughts of you arrive, they feel integrated into that direction, not distracting from it. Listen to this, because when love integrates, it stops competing with life and starts supporting it. The universe has been mirroring this readiness with gentle affirmations, angel numbers appearing like punctuation marks in a sentence that's already been written, 1111 acknowledging that awakening has completed its cycle, 222 reinforcing balance and mutuality, 333 offering reassurance that honest communication will be received in the spirit it's offered, 444 grounding them in stability and protection, and even 555 appearing not as upheaval, but as acceptance that movement is natural and no longer needs resistance. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because resistance fades when truth feels safe. They've also become deeply aware of their body's signals, noticing how imagining honesty with you brings ease rather than tension, how the idea of showing up fully creates relief rather than panic, and that physical response has been a teacher. Listen to this, because the body confirms alignment before the mind catches up. They're no longer rehearsing conversations or preparing defenses, they're preparing presence, the ability to listen fully, to speak simply, to respond without urgency, and that preparation has removed the last traces of fear that once surrounded the idea of connection. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because fear cannot survive in presence. The universe has also been working around you, strengthening your sense of self, helping you release the need to predict outcomes, inviting you into a grounded openness that feels steady rather than exposed, and that grounding is why this phase doesn't feel like waiting, it feels like living. Listen to this, because living is alignment in motion. You may notice that your emotional responses have softened, that you're less pulled by uncertainty and more anchored in your own rhythm, and that anchoring has created a space where truth can arrive without destabilizing you. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because stability welcomes honesty. Your soulmate understands now that whatever unfolds next must respect your autonomy as much as their truth, that love cannot grow where pressure exists, and that understanding has shaped their intentions in a way that feels calm and deliberate. Listen to this, because deliberation is care expressed. They've reflected on how far they've come, recognizing that past silences were shaped by fear and obligation, not lack of feeling, and that insight has replaced self-judgment with compassion. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because compassion frees courage. The universe has been creating subtle openings, not dramatic events, but small alignments where timing feels natural, where paths feel closer, where conversations feel possible without force, and these openings are invitations, not demands. Listen to this, because invitations respect free will. They're no longer measuring readiness by the absence of fear, but by the presence of integrity, knowing that integrity doesn't eliminate uncertainty, it makes it manageable. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because manageability is maturity. This phase is about embodiment, about living from the truth that has already been accepted internally, and embodiment changes behavior quietly, choices aligning, priorities shifting, attention refining. Listen to this, because refinement creates clarity. Your soulmate has accepted that honesty does not need to control outcomes to be worthwhile, that speaking truth is an act of self-respect regardless of response, and that acceptance has given them a calm courage that feels sustainable. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because sustainable courage lasts. You are not being asked to anticipate or brace, you are being asked to remain present, grounded, and open, trusting that what is meant to move will move without manipulation. Listen to this, because manipulation disrupts alignment. The universe does not rush what is real, but it also does not stall it unnecessarily, and right now everything indicates that the internal work has reached completion, making space for gentle, authentic expression. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because expression born from completion feels natural. This part ends here because the next phase is where readiness meets opportunity, where presence begins to translate into real-world movement, and what comes next will not feel sudden or chaotic, it will feel like a continuation, calm, intentional, and unmistakably aligned with the truth you've both grown into. Don't scroll, listen to this, because this is the part where everything you've been sensing without proof begins to settle into knowing, and your heart needs this right now more than ever. This message is for you, and it's arriving because the universe doesn't bring souls this far only to leave the story unfinished, so stay with me and listen closely. After all the preparation, the grounding, the quiet courage, your soulmate has reached a moment that feels like standing at the edge of a calm lake just before dawn, where the world is still and the truth is clear, and in that stillness they understand something fully for the first time, not just that they love you, but that loving you has changed the way they love themselves. Listen to this, because that realization reshapes everything. They are no longer divided between who they were and who they are becoming, no longer negotiating with fear or postponing honesty, because the internal work has completed its cycle, and completion brings peace, not urgency. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because peace is how the universe signals readiness. They've noticed how their thoughts of you no longer feel like longing or ache, but like home, familiar, grounding, steady, and that feeling has made them understand that what they're moving toward isn't uncertainty, it's alignment. Listen to this, because alignment feels simple even when it's profound. The signs around them have shifted again, angel numbers appearing less frequently but more meaningfully, 1111 now showing up as a reminder that awakening has already happened, 222 appearing when they consider mutuality and respect, confirming balance, 444 anchoring moments of decision with a sense of protection, and 888 surfacing quietly, signaling abundance. Not just material, but emotional abundance, the kind that allows love to exist without depletion. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because abundance means there is enough love, enough courage, enough truth for what comes next. They are no longer asking the universe for permission to act, they are listening for alignment to invite action, and that distinction matters. Because action taken from alignment feels calm rather than reactive. Listen to this, because calm action endures. They've rehearsed less and lived more, trusting that when words are spoken, they will come from presence rather than planning, and that trust has replaced anxiety with confidence. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because confidence rooted in truth doesn't need validation. The universe has been preparing you too, strengthening your sense of self, helping you release attachment to outcomes, teaching you how to remain open without losing your center, and that preparation is why this phase feels different, why you're not grasping or questioning every sign. Listen to this, because detachment is not indifference, it's trust. You may notice that your intuition feels sharper now, quieter but clearer, guiding you without urgency, and that clarity is what allows you to receive whatever comes next without fear. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because fear dissolves in clarity. Your soulmate understands now that honesty is not a demand for response, it's an offering of truth, and that understanding has freed them from the need to control how things unfold. Listen to this, because control blocks connection. They are ready to show up as they are, not as who they think they need to be, and that authenticity is what makes the next step sustainable. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because sustainability is what turns moments into futures. The universe has been aligning circumstances gently, not with dramatic events, but with subtle openings, timing that feels natural, conversations that feel possible, paths that feel closer, and these alignments are not meant to be forced or chased, they are meant to be allowed. Listen to this, because allowance is faith in action. Your soulmate feels a deep respect for you now, not just for the connection, but for the growth you've done independently, for the way you've held your boundaries, for the way you've chosen self-worth over chaos, and that respect has shaped how they intend to approach you. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because respect is the soil where love grows safely. They are no longer afraid of vulnerability because they understand that vulnerability doesn't mean losing control, it means standing in truth without armor, and that realization has brought a calm bravery that feels grounded rather than dramatic. Listen to this, because grounded bravery lasts. You are not being asked to prepare for a specific outcome, you are being asked to remain present and open, trusting that whatever unfolds will meet you where you are now, not where you were. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because you are ready in a way you weren't before. This phase is not about grand declarations or instant resolution, it's about integration becoming visible, about internal alignment expressing itself naturally in the external world, and that expression will feel steady, respectful, and real. Listen to this, because real doesn't rush. The universe has been patient because it values what is being built, ensuring that when truth is shared, it lands on stable ground, not old wounds, and that patience is why this connection has matured instead of burned out. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because maturity supports longevity. Your soulmate knows now that whatever they offer must honor your peace, and that knowledge has refined their intentions into something simple and sincere, free of pressure, free of expectation. Listen to this, because sincerity resonates. You may feel a quiet anticipation now, not excitement that overwhelms, but curiosity that comforts, a sense that something is aligning without needing your effort, and that feeling is accurate. Don't scroll, your heart needs this right now, because effortlessness is a sign of alignment. The universe does not orchestrate connections like this lightly, and it does not bring souls to this level of awareness only to abandon them. What is unfolding now is measured, intentional, and supported. Listen to this, because support is already present. This part ends here not with a reveal, but with reassurance, because the final truth is this. You are not waiting, you are witnessing, and what comes next will not ask you to chase or prove or sacrifice yourself. It will meet you calmly, honestly, and with the same integrity that brought you both here, exactly when it's meant to.